Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Kings of Cold podcast. My name is Brad Gates. I am your host, founder of Cold King Mechanical, a C38 refrigeration service company in Southern California. I'm excited to bring to you today's guest. He's a friend of mine. I've known him for several years just from working throughout the trade in the same area. He's been in the trade for 22 years now. He's the founder of Cold War Refrigeration, and we're excited to have him on the show. Welcome to the show today, Mr. Andrew James.
Thank you, Brad, for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, I appreciate you being on and taking the time to get over here with me, especially on such short notice. I know I kind of was scrambling for a last minute guest and you stepped up to the plate, so I definitely appreciate that. We talked about you kind of technicianing and even a service managing around the area a little while. We've kind of worked in the same area for many years, but what was it like going from technician or manager to owner?
I always managed my guys like I was the owner, so that transition really wasn't too difficult. I think the hard part is now everything just being on you, right? Like all the safety paperwork, the leadership of your guys, bidding and structuring jobs, the engineering, everything funnels through you. And when you start in the very beginning, you don't have a lot of resources. So you see a lot of guys start as business partners. Don't have any business partners. I started as myself. So I'm kind of perfected myself through the trade that I'm a Swiss Army knife. Like I'm not perfect by any means in any other areas, but I kind of have enough resources and knowledge to navigate through all areas of the trade. And that also kind of is what I enjoy about the trade. Like it gives you the ability and the autonomy to create life skills that you don't even ever think of.
Yeah, for sure. Were there any expectations versus reality moments for you? Like when you did start to become an owner, was there any like, shit, I didn't see it was going to be that way. Was there any like shell shock situations?
I think yes. I had one of my guys say it the other day, and we're flying up to Portland, and we're at the airport, and we travel quite a bit for work. And he's like, "You're not flying first class?" And I'm like, "Well, I have a rule. I don't fly first class if it's under 5 hours. Like, it doesn't make sense." And he's like, "You're going to sit in the back of the plane with us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to sit in the back of the plane with you. And I'm going to like talk to you." Right.
Yeah.
I feel like, and he's a newer guy. He's been here for like 3 or 4 months and he hasn't really gone on a job with me. And I'm like, I'm the same guy as you. Like,
Yeah.
there's no difference here. Like, you might view me different, but there's no real difference. Like, I'm one of you. I'm not some equity company. I'm not some snobby business owner. I got in the trade because I enjoyed the trade. And I think also it comes down to like, I'm a very highly motivated person, right? And then in business or people today, you're hiring employees and sometimes they're construction guys and they just want to do their 6 to 2:30 and they don't really have that ambition to be better than, 2:30, which is fine.
Right.
So it's also structuring that where you have that boundary of like, hey, this guy is my ductwork guy. He ain't going to do anything else other than that. Like, and that's okay. Right. Like, everyone has their calling and what they like and what they enjoy. And that's okay.
Yeah. You just kind of learn to meet them where they're at with whatever they do. Speaking of like when you started to get into the trade, can you tell us a little bit about your career overall? How did you get into the trade and kind of what your career looked like up to this point?
So I got in the trade by accident. My dad was a flooring contractor at the time. I was a very hyper active kid, 12 years old. I grew up in Chino, California. So the dairies,
Okay.
right? And I had a very rambunctious group of friends. I mean, I remember, at 12 years old, we stole the Bobcat that they were doing street work with, and we built this big bike jump path on BMX bikes, and then we're doing it with dirt bikes. And nowadays, like if there was videos and stuff of that, you'd probably get in some serious trouble, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I grew up in the dairy aspect. So like you farm kids, they were forced to figure it out. Right. And
Yep.
more towards the tail end of the farm kids, because like a lot of my buddies, their parents sold the dairies either during or after high school, but that farm kid generation mentality. So it kind of set me up like you're working with your hands. So I got in the trade when I was 12, going back
Oh,
to my
shit.
dad. My dad owned a flooring company and
Yeah.
it was like right before the recession. So it was busy. I ended up getting into the trade because we had a family friend that owned a mechanical refrigeration air conditioning business, small time, that needed help. Right. And he saw that
Okay.
I was setting tile with my dad because I'm like, I want to make money. And he's like, well, you can come work in the shop and you can come work on the weekends. We'll get you a work experience, blah, 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 blah. And basically,
Yeah.
I did that from 12 years old to 18. And
Oh, okay.
at 16, I was in a truck running service calls and they did supermarket
Wow.
refrigeration, Arco stuff. And I enjoyed it. But at 18 years old, when I graduated high school, they were a mom and pop shop. The kids worked there. I wasn't really fond of the kids working there. I'm like, I need to go somewhere that's legit. And I ended up going to work for like a large industrial contractor in the area. And I remember the supervisor that interviewed me was like, oh, well,
Mhm.
I think we're arguing over money at that point. And it was like a couple bucks, right? And I'm like, well, no, I'm not coming to work here. Like, I know what I'm worth. And he's like,
Yeah.
well, name 3 refrigerants. And I named like 40. And he's like,
Yeah.
okay, like, cool. I ended up going in and they put me on racks, right?
Okay.
Rack refrigeration at 18 years old. And then they started moving me into ammonia at that time. And I remember I had this ammonia account in Norwalk and it was solar screw compressors and it was kind of a finicky account, right? Like you really have to be attentive to it. And I
Mhm.
did a really good job there. So I ended up moving into that account and a couple other accounts after that. And by
Mhm.
19 years old, I had primarily all ammonia accounts. And
Wow.
which was good, but then I also in the back of my head, 18, not knowing where I wanted, I was going to junior college, getting my just the general ed stuff and to become a diesel mechanic. Because, around
Okay.
that time, we're talking 2010-ish, 2008, where
Mhm.
motorcycle mechanics and diesel mechanics were the thing, right? Like,
Yep.
so
Yep.
I actually finished my program or like got almost all the way and I pulled out because I don't see this like the rubber meeting the road. Like I had a buddy
Right.
at that time working at like one of the larger trucking companies and he was making like 13 bucks an hour. And I'm like, dude, I'm making 2 times that what I'm
Yeah.
doing. And like, why am I going to do that? And that was around like 19, 20 years old. And I'm like, I'm just going to commit to HVAC refrigeration. And
Mhm.
that's history from there. So,
That's cool.
yeah.
And then you just kept grinding away and finally worked your way up to starting your own company. That's pretty awesome. What do you think that most technicians misunderstand about ownership, like on your shoes?
I think they think it's all just a paycheck, right? Like you're laying back and collecting checks, right? With your feet up on
Mhm.
the table. I think maybe 20 years ago, sure. Now with how highly competitive the market is, like you can't do that. Especially how tight overhead and margin is. Like you have to be on the grindstone. And then the other thing
Mhm.
is you have to be innovative and you have to be pushing past that because you're competing with people, especially in the section that I do, that have been doing it for 20 years, have been established for 25 years as a business and they have
Right.
those relationships or resources. And it's like, you're a young kid coming in on the block. Like, who are you? You know, why should I make that change? And I think that's a hard thing. Like people expect nowadays that, that respect should be there. And no, it's earned.
Right. Yeah, you got to pay your dues for sure. In your opinion, what makes a technician instantly valuable?
I think open mind and actually caring and wanting to do better. Like we're all going to make mistakes. We're all human. And like I always say, you got to kind of mess up to learn. Right.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I can tell plenty of stories that I've messed up and like no one really talks about it.
We'll get
And
into those.
it's just stuff that like happens and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna make sure I triple check this the next time. Like, and
Yeah.
I can tell you like dumb stuff or even stuff that I've kind of stumbled across where I'm going home, like scratching my head, like this crap isn't working. And
Yeah, yeah.
at that time, I didn't have the resources. I'm like driving back to the job site at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because I'm like, I know the shit ain't gonna run all night. I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
I'm gonna get a phone call at 6 in the morning, like, "What happened?" Where this decompressor blew up, and then my boss is gonna be pissed, like, I'm gonna get
Right.
get get back there and figure it out,
I ain't
and,
sleeping anyway, right?
yeah, well, because it's racing in your mind the whole time while you're back, and you're like, "Oh my gosh." I can go on a couple stories, but there's a couple of them that I'm like, I crack up and laugh, like, I had this supermarket one, and we're
Yeah.
getting off topic,
That's all right.
where where I put a brand new compressor in, it was a 60, like 30 or 40 horse, right? Started it
Mhm.
up and the thing would shut down right away on low pressure. And I was 17 at the time, right? It would shut
Oh
down
shit.
instantaneously and then it would come back on, almost like it was the module in it, right?
Mhm.
So I bypass the module and I'm like, it's not the module, it's the low pressure switch. So I put my gauges on it and I'm like, I'm checking it and it has whatever rack suction was at that time, 30 or 40 pounds because it was on medium temp. And it had
Mhm.
like 30 or 40 pounds. And when the compressor was shut off on low pressure, it would still, the low pressure switch would be sensing low pressure. Well, what ended up happening is the plunger on the suction came off. So I ended
Oh,
up leaving
shit.
that call and going home because it was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I get home and I'm like, the only thing it could be is this valve. So
Yeah.
they already left the grocery store.
Right.
And if you haven't worked at many grocery stores, you know there's semi trucks coming in and out at night, right? So I show up there and I lift the roll up door because they forgot to lock the roll up door. So I go inside
Right.
and I'm like, okay, I got to pump this whole rack down and take this valve apart because obviously it's going to be live to the suction side. And I ended up doing
Right.
it and it was the diaphragm. So then I call my boss the
Wow.
next day and he's like, well, how are we billing for all this? And I'm like, I don't care. Like I figured it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
That's your problem.
I don't care. Like, you don't want to pay me? Like, cool. And
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
just being relentless and just stubborn about it and knowing your gut. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's the hard part. It's knowing your gut.
Yeah, well, that's perfect, and that ties back exactly into what you were saying about what you think makes a good tech is somebody who really gives a shit about what they're doing and cares and is willing to kind of go that extra mile to figure out those problems and is kind of internally driven. On the flip side of what makes a tech valuable instantly, what do you think raises a red flag instantly when you're talking to a tech, maybe for employment possibilities or just talking to somebody out in the field? What's a red flag that pops instantly with you?
When everyone else is the problem or they know
Yep.
everything. And it's like,
Yep.
I've been in the trade a long time and I'm pretty versatile, but I don't know everything. And there's stuff that
Nobody does.
happens the world and it's like in situations and it's like it's hard. Like we have a account that has a bunch of those ammonia low charge package units and we just recently got this account and all the set points on the suctions set at -20 and they're ammonia and they're trying to keep like 4-degree freezer box. So and you're looking at me like that's way low. Well, we got called in to work on this problem child unit. It's 80 pounds of ammonia. So I have one of my techs out there. I'm working on it. And I'm like, dude, there's water in the system. We open the liquid strainer and there's water. And I'm like, okay, well, either the plate and frames cracked on the condenser side
Yep.
because it's water cooled condenser. This has been going on for a while and there's a low side. So we ended up blowing the charge out and I ended up putting nitrogen in it. We got 7.5 gallons of water out of it.
Shit.
So you do the math, dude. And the in-house guy's like, I put 150 pounds in it, it's still low. Well, obviously. So to make the long story short, the freezer coil is in the box and it's hot
Yep.
gas defrost. So with having
Okay.
that much water and it being frozen, right? Like you really can't
Yep.
do too much, even if pulling a
Nope.
vacuum. So we ended up running nitrogen and all this stuff through it.
Uh-huh.
And it's just situations like that. We ended up getting it up and running, and now we're fighting, all the stuff coming back during defrost, messing up the oil. We've changed the oil twice now, and it's like, well, this is what happens from people not knowing their ABCs and industrial guys getting spoiled with that stuff, like having that standard operating procedure,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. When you say ABCs, do you talk about just general knowledge or do you have an actual gold standard ABCs that you refer to?
I think it's just the standard in the industry that everyone talks about. Like going up, checking the power of the unit. Like, is it running? Like, you're just
Is it
basic
plugged in?
troubleshooting stuff. Yeah. Is it plugged in? Like, stepping through it, not assuming, like,
Yeah.
in checking it off the list. There's so many times that I see young guys like, well, yeah, of course it's running. Well, it's vibrating. Well, did you check the voltage? Did you hook your gauges up? And then you see it on the ammonia side where guys aren't pulling vacuum after they're doing service work. The auto purger will
Uh-huh.
take care of it. And yeah, but how often? I mean, I would say in the last 10 years, right? Vacuum pumps really became popular in ammonia.
Right.
Jet pumps kind of
Right.
went away. So it's like
Yep.
you have the old generation versus the new generation. Once the
Uh-huh.
studies started coming back with the ammonia stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
So,
you definitely don't want to contaminate your charge for sure.
right. And you look at like the HVAC market or refrigeration market, right? Guys don't even understand why they're pulling 500 micron vacuums.
Uh-huh.
They don't understand why you're pulling it that load. Make sure you're getting all the moisture and water out and all that stuff. Right? Because it's the true science. They either don't grasp it or it wasn't explained to them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just going through the motions or doing what they were told, which I mean, I guess that can be a good thing as long as you're doing it, but it's pretty helpful to also understand why you're doing what you're doing for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
What do you think separates the top 10% of technicians from everybody else?
I think being humble and not saying the clout behind it, like, I'm going to grind it out. I don't know everything. I'm going to continue learning. I'm going to continue on my ABCs, meaning like
Mhm.
whatever the success plan is behind it, like that repetition, being organized, being structured, and having that discipline that's behind it. And I think a lot of people kind of vary because they feel like it's beneath them.
Yeah, so just being well-rounded and doing all the little things make a big difference to get to add up to be a very high-level technician. I can agree with that for sure.
I mean, that goes from paperwork or even simple stuff, checking in and out with the customer, communicating where stuff is at.
Right. Yeah, that's not that hard to just get to let the customer know. I know some guys still get caught in their own ego and they think, well, I don't need to tell them or whatever. And it's like, they need to know, dude. And if you're not going to tell them, somebody else is going to. And then that's a lot of times the customer just wants to really know. If the job is going sideways or something gets fucked up, I found through my career, it's so much easier to just kind of stop what you're doing, let them know truthfully, hey, this is what happened, this is where we're at, and this is what we're doing to fix it. And the customers always seem to really appreciate that. I haven't dealt with a lot of angry customers because I communicate in that fashion where I just go, well, here's where we're at right now.
Yep. Well, and especially like we had that happen a couple months ago where a crane broke. We had a brand new
Oh, shit.
condenser we're setting and turned into a wild situation. It was a normal tower change out. It was a 170-ton crane, and the hard line on the hydraulic in the boom cracked with the
Shit.
new tower in air. And
Oh
there
my
were
God.
slight winds when we're doing it at like 5-10 mile an hour winds. But as God had it, it turned into like 10 to 15 mile an hour winds. And then you have this boom, how that line cracked. And I didn't know this. It's one of those things that you learn. The boom dropped on the main stick and it locked into the pin. So then the crane company rushed out their mechanics, and one of the mechanics climbed up the cylinder and unbolted the line that cracked, and they welded it, and that's how they got the load out because they couldn't set
Holy
it down. They
shit.
couldn't do anything because all the oil charge was gone on
They were
hydraulic
stuck.
fluid. And it's
Yeah.
just like I communicated that right away to the customer, told them that the whole situation, and you know how doing a large condenser job doesn't matter
Uh-huh.
if you have a brand new piece of equipment, stuff goes wrong, right? And then you're
Uh-huh.
on a 4 hour setback can mean the freezer's above their threshold.
Yep.
And it's just one of those things that you got to plan for all that stuff. And I never anticipated it. It was the first time that I've ever had it happen. I've had
Yeah,
cranes
that's a
break,
nightmare.
not to that extent. And then you're seeing this
Yeah,
piece
yeah,
of
that's
equipment just
gnarly.
whirl, and you're like, okay, this is not a fun situation, but whatever,
Yeah.
you know?
Fuck, yeah, this is not cool. That sounds like a nightmare situation. So they got it all fixed and everything got set. The customer was happy?
Yeah. All that stuff went smooth, but it's like we were on set to be done with the job in less than like 12 hours, which is on a non like for like condenser. That's pretty quick, right?
Yeah,
It'll end up taking us like
for sure.
19 hours, but I mean, it is what it is. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, the communication sounds like it really paid off there too for the customer as well.
but I also know people that hide that stuff and then they point blame, and it's
Yeah,
like, there's no blame to be pointed.
I think that's definitely where the problem comes in.
I could have been a jerk to the crane guys, but that would,
Right. Absolutely. It's definitely not going to help the situation for sure. Getting pissed off and losing your cool and then kind of maybe losing some respect from other companies isn't really worth that in the heat of the moment, even though it is stressful for you for sure.
I would say in my younger days, if I was 23 to 28, but your ego and testosterone and everything else, you think you got the world by the balls. I would have been
Yeah.
spicy then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, you
as
kind of grow out of that
age,
shit.
yeah, I'm sure you had the same stuff go on, right?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, I was definitely a lot rowdier in my younger days and quicker to fly off the handle, but it's kind of different when you're dealing with the customers or other contractors and shit, which is one of the reasons I kind of stayed away from construction a lot whenever I was younger, just because all them dudes working in the same area, that shit gets gnarly, the startups and stuff when you're waiting for the electrician and the plumber's over there and dudes start getting pissed off and next thing you know, there's a fucking conversation out in the parking lot about
Where
somebody's,
there's brawls going on, or yeah,
that's
someone's
exactly
tires
what
are
I'm
getting
talking
flat.
about. Yep. Yep.
And it's like, and then they're going back together.
Yeah.
It's
Well, you gotta get
yeah.
the job done at the end of the day, no matter how pissed you make it. And I think that's where you learn with age. Like I can throw a fit, but this is still going to have to get done, and I'm still literally stuck with this crane company, whether I like it or not, because they have my piece of equipment fucking dangling in the
Yeah.
air.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
I
there.
mean,
We're
there's
not
some dumb
changing it.
stuff that happens, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Yep, that's the way it
And the
goes. You just got
construction
to take it
field's
with a
not
grain of salt.
a bunch of professionals.
No, I mean, the dudes are getting rowdy. I mean, it's pretty crazy. I had several guys on here. You know, a lot of people are either former addicts or drug addicts or whatever the case may be in the trade. And I myself, I did drugs a lot, pretty heavy when I was super young, way before I even got into the trade. But like, there's a lot of crazy shit that goes on with the dudes that are out there doing the random jobs, and you don't know who the hell those people are on the construction sites for sure.
Or what they don't have to lose, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's see here. Talking a little bit about money and business now, what do you think that technicians might misunderstand about money and how the business goes with money as far as bringing it in or keeping it or overhead stuff like that goes?
So I always tell techs, like, I'm not a big guy that follows like pay rate scales, like union
Hmm.
shops, you have to work X amount of hours. I always say, like, the beauty of that always intrigued me about the trade. Like, if you're eager, hard hustling technician, I've had guys start at $20, and in 2 years are making $50, $60 an hour. And it all boils back
Okay.
down to how bad you want it and how much you're
Hmm.
going to invest in yourself to try to grasp that. So I feel like a lot of people talk about the money aspect of it, but they don't really talk about what it takes to get there. Like, I
Yep.
always equate, like, do you go talk to, Conor McGregor of how much he makes to fight? But no one
Yep.
sees the years of training. No one sees all the emptiness that's behind it, right? That he invested in
Yeah.
himself and all the negativity and everything that goes behind it just so he could have made $30 million on that fight. So
Yep.
I feel like, and this is my perspective, I feel like a lot of people are lured to the trades now. And there's certain trades that are more popular because of the money aspect of it. And I always say, like,
Hmm.
if you're coming in for it for the money, like, you're not coming into it the right way. Like, if you're chasing the money, you ain't gonna catch it. Like, you have to want
Right.
this job to your bone. Like, and at some point, you have to just say, I'm committed. This is what I'm doing. And I think a lot of that goes the same with like faith and everything else with that. Like, you have to be committed. It's not 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door. But obviously, with the shortage of technicians, there's a lot of that where guys are just treating it like a 9 to 5, which is fine. But
Hmm.
if you want to be at the top 10% and make, overscale, which a lot of contractors will pay overscale, if you're in that top 10%, like, there's no ceiling, right? Like,
Right. Yep.
and you've seen it from the contractors in these areas. If they have a killer team and guys are killer and they're making it rain, 9 times out of the 10, the owners of the companies are just taking care of them, like, above and beyond.
Hmm. Yeah. If they're smart.
Right. I mean, if they're smart, and 9 times out of 10, they are pretty smart about it, like, just making it
Yeah.
rain. And it also, like, I've had guys where I give them $5 every 4 months, but it's still not enough because of how much they're learning. But it's like, okay, well, shit.
Right.
Like, it's hard because it's like, okay, well, now I'm behind this 8 ball. You came in at $20 an hour and I'm just feeding you $5 every month, over 2 years, you got $20 an hour. Like, and you're still gaining knowledge, like, I don't want to make you reach your cap that much faster, but at the same time, you got to be competitive with that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't pay those rock star guys what they're worth, then they're going to go find another place and find another avenue. But, I think the best technicians, in my opinion, the top guys, like we kind of alluded to earlier, aren't really here for the almighty dollar. They're here because they love to learn and they love to grow and they love that fucking happy dance you get to do when you solve a problem that was kind of kicking your ass, like we talked about earlier.
Well, and that's part of why I started Cold War. Like, a lot of places are for a profit. Profit is a certain aspect, but
Hmm.
we all pour our blood, sweat, and tears into what we do. So it's like, these are moments of my guys' life, my life. Why am I going to do a job subpar? Like,
Hmm.
I want to
Hmm.
do a job that's taking moments of my life, 3, 5, 6 months, even if it's one day, that I'm going to be proud of walking away. I know you guys talked about, you and Matt talked about spray painting compressors, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's just
Mhm.
being proud of what you've done and walking away from it, knowing that you gave it your all and your best and your
Yeah.
regardless if the customer sees it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. And it is one of those things where it's like if I'm going to be sitting around here on a PM, and I know that some of these industrial contracts, and you've probably been on these jobs before where the PM is, let's say, 8 hours, and you can really do all the stuff that's on the black and white paper in 3 or 4. Are you going to twiddle your fucking thumbs for the rest of those hours, or are you going to find other shit to do? And I was always the guy finding other shit to do. What can I clean? How can I pull it apart? And then it kind of looked bad on me to my company because they're kind of like, well, you're not really selling any service. And I'm like, that's because you fucking padded the PM by fucking so many hours, maybe not intentionally, but I'm not just going to sit around on my hands for all those hours. So I'm going to clean the coils. I'm going to start fixing, whatever cracks in the frame and doing other shit that I can do. So I think that falls back on the person as a whole. What are you going to do with that extra time? Are you going to give your customer more value, or are you just going to fuck it off and then say, oh, I got to save that for service work and then bill you later?
Well, and I think that there's a lot of companies that do that, especially in this area. There's only a couple that don't. And I always say it's like a gotcha game. Like you're going in these industrial plants, and that's why I named my company what I named it. Like you have to figure out how you're going to win that battle with that account because you
Uh-huh.
know it's coming, that there's going to be a service call, and you don't want to have that service call because if you're getting a service call at an industrial plant, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be there for a while. Chances are it's going to be midnight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock because it's something that's festered and you turned a blind eye to it. Like those gotcha moments, and you have to have strategic through it. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's hard depending on what the customer is and what they're used to and what their budget is and everything that goes with it. Like when I had PM accounts like what we're talking about, I would clean the compressor room. I'd grease the compressor bearings. I remember buying magnet trays and putting them under the bearings, making sure that you're
Uh-huh.
getting the drip rate out of the grease, cleaning the pipe insulation, all the minutinous stuff. But when you'd walk in there, it'd be like, wow, this guy cares. And
Yeah.
some accounts you just didn't have time. And then other accounts you had time. But you also want to make it appear that you care and you truly care about the end product and the end solution and making sure all your paperwork's in order, like,
Mhm.
especially on the regulatory side. And I feel like
Yep.
that's stuff that in my eyes turned to be like an expectation when in other people's eyes it's not.
Yeah,
Like
for
what you
sure.
said about your company. And it's like that's what made your name or made their name.
So we talked about technicians, and we talked about kind of how we expect them to grow. But as far as becoming an owner and now leading the team, you've always been kind of a leader for many years. But what do you think that the hardest part about leading people is and being a good leader?
It's knowing each of the guys and, like, honestly, figuring out everyone's personality and how to manage them.
Hmm.
Like, everyone has different like I say, there's the 4 love languages. Everyone has their own way they communicate, and then trying to figure out which ones communicate better with who. And I feel communication's a large thing, and a lot of people don't stress that. Like, I'd rather have someone complain that I over communicate than under communicate.
Yeah.
And with technology, there's so many different ways, and we can all do it better. I think it's an area that everyone can improve on no matter what.
Hmm.
And I think communication, it also breaks down those barriers where you don't want to call your boss, right? When it's a
Yeah.
simple phone call. And
And then, so you say the hardest part is like understanding each person's individual desires and needs, and then being able to cooperate and communicate with that individual and helping them kind of navigate through it.
yeah, you can't manage anyone the same.
That's for sure. They're all each individual person for sure. I like that. I like that answer. What makes someone worth top pay to you overall? If somebody's coming in to talk to you, or somebody's kind of going, "Hey, I want top pay," like what would that person look like as a overall technician or employee to you?
I think it goes to having the personality, like making sure that they have the personality for wanting to be better, the mindset of wanting to be better. They don't necessarily have to know everything because you're not ever going to know everything, but have a fair amount of knowledge, have the humility and humbleness to grow, and
Hmm.
have a direction of where they want to go 3, 4, 5 years. I'm not looking at someone jumping ship because they didn't like what their boss said and they heard I'd pay more. Like, I'm not
Right.
interested in those guys. Like,
Right.
stay where you're at. Like, I'm sorry. No,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
And sometimes you get some wolves in sheep's wool,
yeah,
and you'll figure it out relatively quick, 3 to 5 months. And I've made some bad calls. It is what it is. It's kind of like dating. You just got to cut it.
for sure. Once you know it's not going to work, it's better off to cut it. You say you've made some bad calls. Have you had any guys that you kind of went on a limb for, and then they surprised the shit out of you and kind of blew your mind, or you were able to kind of mentor them into being somebody that you were hoping that they could be?
I've had people that I've mentored that blew my mind and then turned their backs, right? And
Mm,
went the opposite way. And then I've had people
mm-hmm.
that I've mentored and they've improved their life drastically, from where they were and who they are as a person. And they're continuing that in their family and everyone else underneath them. Like
That's cool.
it, and you have both sides of the story. It just depends. A lot of people want to spill negative stuff, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely not worth it to just sit there and be the negative person. We were talking off camera earlier, and it was like, I'm not the guy that wants to ever talk shit about other contractors or even really other people. I mean, especially not out in public. If we got something to say between me and you, I'll keep it between me and you. But I'm not the guy that's going to go to my customer and go, "Oh, the guy that was here last time did a terrible job." And if I go up on a roof and everything looks good and it's clean and the work looks like it was by best practices, I'll tell the customer that. I'll say, look, I know you called me and I'm here working for you today, but I want to let you know that whoever's been working on your stuff has actually been doing a pretty good job, and I would hire him again if I were you. I'm not trying to cut myself out of work, but if the first thing you start doing is talking shit about the other guy and you do that every time, then people are just going to pick that up and go, this guy's just talking shit everywhere he goes.
Well, and customers are like dating too, right? I view them like you're going to spend a decent amount of time interacting with them. You're going to get to know them. And I'm not hiring crap customers or bringing them on board,
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
and you do that in those job walks. You size them up, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I've had this happen where we've walked where I was at employed before and we walked accounts that you guys were taking care of. And I'm like, so what's the complaint? They're expensive? Like, we're going to be expensive then.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't sound like there's a right fit.
Yeah.
And am I gonna drop my pants to get this account? And then what? You're gonna complain about it? And then what is that teaching you? You're gonna do the same as soon as I start raising my rates 2 years down the road, like, "No, thank you, I'm not interested."
Right.
And I've built some great relationships off of that, like, just being direct and honest by it. Because some people are like, "Well, I thought I was gonna get a better deal." Like, "Okay, cool. Go find someone else. I'm not the right person."
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it, like, surprises you. I lost a multi-million-dollar job that I was $3 million over, right?
Oh,
This was about 2 years ago. Decent
oh
amount. It was
wow.
about a $15 million job. I was $3 million
Sheesh.
more than everyone else, right? And it was for my customer that I already had.
Right.
And they hired a GC and the job was done through the GC. And I'm like, I read the contract, I read everything. And I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. Told my customer, like, hey, this is what I see going on, blah, 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 blah. And they can't even final the job. It was a large air conditioning refrigeration job, et cetera. So they can't final the building because no one Title 20'd all the exhaust fans.
Oh, shit.
And this isn't chump change. And then they put
Right.
in a bunch of panels that are non-UL certified.
Oh,
So the
shit.
building inspector caught it. And we're not talking little panels. So it's gone to legal and my customers got me involved in it now on the legal aspect. But I'm like, I don't even know how to unscrew this up. Right.
Right.
Right. Like
Right.
I can get you the UL certification because we're a UL shop, but the Title 20 is something that's new, and I don't know too much about it. I'm learning about it, but
Right.
from my understanding, there's no necessarily back door to correcting this.
Right. You just have to go from
And
scratch, huh?
I haven't figured it out. And maybe talking about it, someone, in your views would be like, hey, I have some backdoor way of doing it, but I
Yeah.
haven't figured it out.
Yeah. So get a hold of Andrew if you know a lot about the Title 20 stuff. Yeah, it's tricky. All this new stuff that's coming down constantly. It's like sometimes the people who are in charge of it don't even really understand the intricacies of it. I've had stuff with the Title 24 stuff previously when they were including this. They put an evaporator in a cold room, and you're like asking the people who are telling the installers that they have to put that there, why they have to put it there, and they couldn't even really explain it. You're talking the officials who are in charge of this shit. They can't really explain it, but they know that that's what they want done. And I'm like, okay, this is getting weird right here. We need to figure this out before you start having
Well, the
everybody do it,
exhaust
man.
fans in the freezer, I don't know
Yeah.
if you ran across that. Like
Yeah, I seen
an
stuff like
exhaust
that.
fan in the freezer for CO2. It's like, Okay, for occupancy, it's like I'm sure the door's opening and closing enough. I haven't heard
Yeah,
of anyone dying in a freezer because of CO2 or carbon
right,
monoxide poisoning because of people breathing too much or running
right.
generators or anything. I haven't heard about that, you
I
know?
see it at a lot of
But
accounts that I have, like beer draft systems where they have a CO2 system and they got a little alarm in the walk-in. You probably seen those, you know, you go to the walk-in where they have the
yeah,
CO2 lines and then they got the little alarm in there and then they're just like evacuate the area immediately. But yeah, that's completely off the topic, but
well,
it's
yeah, Title 24, what I'm talking about is if a cooler freezer space is over 3,000 square feet, you have to do a certain amount of air changes in the room, meaning
right.
exhausting the freezer or cooler space, which is going to put additional load on the system, right? But
Uh-huh.
they're saying
Hmm.
it's because of occupancy and everything else that goes with it. And it's like, well,
Right.
you know, refrigeration's been around 20, 30 years. Like, how did this get through? But sure,
Right.
whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
And I've
make it
seen guys
happen.
put it in wrong and they don't have a backdraft amper and it's icing up or dripping water or whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh.
I imagine icing up and dripping water will be a normal thing, and then in a freezer, it's kind of tricky. I seen them on some of the like the flower or produce production facilities I've seen before, where they'll do a cooler with the makeup air handler, so it's pulling the air out and then reintroducing chilled air, like Aeon systems and stuff like that, where they're putting
Yep.
the chilled air back in there as much as they're taking out, so it's like a matching situation. But
Makes it neutral.
yep, yep. So you're still doing a lot of extra work because now you have that unit that's in addition to, but I guess we gotta play their game, you know. We don't have much choice.
Well, and it's like the engineering for ammonia compressor rooms, making sure that there's adequate, if it's under 104 at max BTUs, right?
Hmm.
Equipment load. Now you have to have a refrigeration coil in the room, like just for that 1 or 2 days out of the year. It might be above
Hmm.
104 in there.
Yep.
That comes at a significant cost to the refrigeration system, but also to the customer,
Sure.
right? And that's
Yeah.
where, like, I don't think a lot of people have perspective on. I would say since after COVID, I've been bidding projects for a while, but projects didn't track inflation. People don't talk about that. Construction cost doesn't track inflation. It does to a certain
Right.
extent, but like when you're getting hit, year after year, 16, 18% from these manufacturers, plus all your labor, plus your insurances and all your other operating costs, these jobs are going up 30, 40%. Like, and what are you going to do?
For sure. And labor's a chunk on its own. I mean, look at the kids are flipping burgers in California right now, making 20 fucking bucks an hour at fast food joints. So it's like that used to be a lot of money. And now the people are just kind of looking at you going, wait, you want me to go to school and then put myself in danger and then have to keep learning and then have to work hard to start at 20 bucks an hour? That seems terrible. But I'm like, what are you gonna, you can't start at 40 or 50 bucks an hour, kid, you know?
Well, I'll give an example. My brother-in-law, right? I built him a cold storage in 2022. Square foot cold storage. I think we're $2.1 million in it. Right, he bought another
Uh-huh.
building, and he calls me and he goes, "Hey, I want a cold storage." And a lot of the stuff typically in the past I never did quote wise. And I'm like, "Hey," I'm like, "Dude, I'm gonna quote you." And he goes, "Why?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna quote you because cost has gone up." That job was
Yeah.
$5.8 million. And he's like, "I'm not doing it here. Like, this is the wrong place to do it. I'm buying something bigger." And I'm like, exactly. Like, because your cost per square foot, like the
Right.
30,000 square foot mark isn't adequate for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be worth the return on investment, and that's pretty simple to punch those numbers and go, we're not going to make any money for 50 years here or some shit.
Yeah.
Do you think that most technicians understand what it takes to run a business? Do you think that your guys know like the stuff that you have to do? Because I know when I started my business, it's like, well, you knew it's going to be a lot, right? But now, like I say, before I'm the parts guy, I'm the fucking the customer service guy, the sales guy, the job walk guy, the project manager, the technician, you know, customer service, all that stuff. Do you think a lot of the technicians out there understand that that's what it takes, really?
No, and I feel like that's a hard part of like the negativity towards it too, is a lot of these technicians have a view that like once you become the owner, there's a bunch of clout behind it. And there's some positives towards it, but the main problem that I see from it is like there's a disconnection. So what I always try to do with my guys, I always try to train them where they could run their own business. So
Hmm.
one that helps give them the perspective of all the work that has to come into it. and also assess the situation. Is it in their personality to run a business?
Mhm.
And, you know, I would say probably 90% of the guys out there that are running businesses that I know, if they work somewhere that was taking care of them and was transparent with them, they would probably not run their own business or start their own business, right?
Right.
Because the reason they left was they enjoyed wrenching. They probably didn't like some rules and they wanted to make more money. But then on the
Mhm.
money side, they want to be motivated for their efforts at what they feel reasonable. So it's
Mhm.
creating a structure where it's positively improving the guy and also making him aware of everything it takes to make that. Like I have a buddy that started a business. He has 3 guys working for him. And he's like, I'm doing great, but now I need to hire an office person. And it's like, well, okay, you're hiring an office person. Now you need to hire 2 more guys. Like
Mhm.
now you have 5 guys. Now you need to get more accounts. You need to hire a sales guy or something to move past that. And it's just a domino effect. And like I have in my head where I'm going to really rein in where my stopping point is. I'm not trying to grow past a certain extent, but I'm trying to grow
Mhm.
where it's comfortable, where I can control everything and it's manageable. And I feel like I've seen places grow past that and it's not necessarily in my mind of what I want because the other thing is you have to expect as an owner, like you starting a business is like having a kid. So,
Mhm.
regardless if your kid's 18 or not, they're still your child the rest of its existence on earth.
Yeah.
So, like,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
so it's you have a business now. It's like having a kid that's not turning 18 the rest of your eternity on earth. So you better be
Yep.
committed to what your beginning, your end, and your middle and your exit plan is. Right.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I think a lot of people don't look at that. They're like, "Oh, I'll figure it out, or I'll sell, or I'll do this." And I hear the selling part and I'm like, nails on a chalkboard, right? But like I get
Right.
it. Like if you don't have anything, like I get it too. If family doesn't want to take it over, they're not involved. You don't have any main guys that want to take it over. But then at the same time, in ownership, I feel like there's one person that needs to be the leader, not
Yeah.
multiple guys. And that's I know a lot of people are like, oh, partnerships. And it's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's why every company has the guy on top. There's usually the CEO, the president, the owner, whoever it is. There's usually one person for almost all companies, not just refrigeration companies, where there's that one person that oversees and guides the company's vision and day-to-day like operations as a whole.
correct. And
Yep.
that's the key employee right there.
Exactly. Exactly. What advice would you give to someone who wanted to start their own business?
Know what you're getting yourself into. Be confident in yourself that you're capable of doing it and do your homework. Like have a business plan for your 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year and
Mhm.
stick to it and have an actual plan. I've seen guys leave and they're like, I don't know where I'm going to get the work from. Or if I get to work, I don't know where I'm going to get the guys from. And that's something I do probably every other week. I go through my phone. I have a notes section that's like my own private journal, and I write like my next plans and my next structures of
Mhm.
moving past it because it's just business shifting and also workload and customers. And sometimes you get opportunities that come your way that you can't pass up. So
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of it is just knowing what you're getting yourself into.
Mhm.
When I go back to the child situation, you need to know what you're getting yourself into.
Right. Yeah, you can't just wing it, that's for sure. Once that little human or that business is there, it's kinda looking at you like, "Now what are we gonna do?" You're like, "Okay, well, we better handle this now. Figure it
Yeah.
out." Awesome, man. Well, this has been a good time, been a lot of fun. What would be the last thing you wanna say to everybody? Anything you wanna tell everybody about the business? Any stuff you guys got going on that you wanna let people know about or just anything to say in general?
I think there's a lot of stuff coming in the future with Cold War and
Uh-huh.
myself.
Yeah.
I think with technology and other stuff coming, but I don't want to be boastful either. It's not because tomorrow's not promised.
Okay.
So
That's right.
I think it's the reality of it. And I think that's where markets shift. You never know. Before you get something
Yeah.
to market, it might shift. And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of people, you never know, right? So I guess my closing statement is everyone be safe and work hard and be the best version of you. That's
Yeah.
and that's how I feel about it. All we can do is wake up
Okay.
every day and be the best version of us for our family, our kids, our job,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah, I love that. That's excellent. Where can people find you? I follow you guys on social, and your social media is really cool. You guys are doing a badass job posting cool videos and shit of the jobs. But where can people find you? How can people connect with you if they want to see what you're up to and learn more about you?
They can connect with us through Cold War Refrigeration. I have a fair amount of social media presence on there. I started that page merely to just like document my life of work and
Hmm.
what we do. I've done a whole bunch of projects. They're all interesting, and that sometimes I don't even have proof that I've even done them. So me starting this business, I'm like, I want to videotape it and send it to the customer at the end and like make a
Yeah,
music video out of it. Like, so
yeah,
the accountant in the office knows, hey, this condenser job was 600 grand. I know
yeah,
exactly what they did. Like, look at all
yeah,
these trucks, look at the crane, look at all the everything that goes with it. Like that visual affirmation of it coming to life, like that's what I did it for. Right. So
yeah. That's cool.
I don't I don't run my social media. I have one of my buddies that run it. So, but I
Hmm.
do pay attention to it. So if they reach out on there, typically it takes me a day or two to get back to them.
Okay,
I have a fair amount of people that reach out on there, and it's
okay.
actually I've created a lot of relationships with it, with even just networking of guys needing parts and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I have people reach out, hey, I need, this, like you have it? Like, sure. I just shipped 4 micro one panels. A guy back east needed some micro one panels. I don't even know. He must have went out on a limb. And I'm like, dude, I
uh
have them. You pay for shipping, you can have them. You know how hard it is and how expensive it
yeah,
is to get micro one panels. And I'm like, dude, catch me on the flip side. I'm sure I'm
yeah,
going to need something off eventually.
yeah, for
So
sure.
it's a community. It's building that community where us trade people and business owners can all want to flourish because there's plenty of work
Yeah,
out
and
there.
take care of each other. Yeah, that's excellent. I love that advice. That's beautiful. So you guys are on Instagram and Facebook, or what's your major platforms that they can find you?
Just Instagram. We haven't done
Okay.
Facebook. We don't do LinkedIn.
Okay.
We have a website, but
Okay.
Instagram's where you find most of our stuff. Sometimes we
Okay.
post some reels, not too much, but yeah, we've been a little bit lagging on it because we have a lot of other stuff we're working on of like staying
Hmm.
active with posting.
Yep.
And a lot of it is to just show like, hey, this is what goes into these jobs. Like, especially on the
Hmm.
industrial stuff, you talk to your wife and you're like, oh, I did a condenser job. And they're like, yeah, 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 whatever. But like, cool. And
Yeah.
it's like, no,
Yeah.
I did this, 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 and this. And they're like, yeah, cool. And then like you show them a
Yeah.
video and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure. That's another thing we talked about earlier is I don't think the general masses really understand the massiveness of the industrial refrigeration as a whole. And what it takes is, these days I'll replace a condenser and it's cute because it's like this big, you just pick one up and put it over there. But those industrials, you don't just pick it up and put it over there. You got a massive crane and a whole crew of people and everything else that has to happen to make that actually function. So it's pretty cool to see your guys' videos. So if you get a chance, check them out. Cold War Refrigeration on Instagram. You can find us, Kings of Cold Podcast at gmail.com. We're on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify. And that's about it for us. Like and follow all the good stuff. And thank you again, Andrew James, for taking the time to sit with us and shoot the shit about refrigeration and the trades. We appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Brad. Have a good day.
Absolutely. You too, brother. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. It seems like an hour wasn't long enough.
That's how it goes, huh?